Hey guys, today I am here with my friend Christy.
Hi!
So me and Christy met in Menorca when we were there for this press trip, and you are a travel vlogger, is that right?
I am a travel vlogger indeed,
Yes.
on the YouTube.
Basically, we thought we would combine our two areas of interest, and expertise, travel and sex and relationships, and make some videos about those things. So in this video, we're going to be talking about traveling and maintaining relationships, or having holiday romances, and how to navigate that whole potential shitstorm.
Shitstorm is a good word to describe it.
First of all, do you have any standout moments from your traveling escapades of a romance that were that went really well, that was perfect, and one that was holy shit, that went terribly?
Okay, I've got a really, really good one.
That's good.
Backpacker romance. It was actually the first time I ever went backpacking. I was travelling through Laos and I met this boy. We got each other on Facebook and stuff like that. It wasn't flirty at all, but yeah, we were just messaging. And then we realised we were going to be at the full moon party in Thailand at the same time. So we were like, okay, cool, let's meet up there. The more I messaged him, the more I was like, I actually kind of like this guy. I think he's actually all right. So we got to the full moon and my friends described me seeing him as leeches. We just saw each other and it was just like, hi. We had the dreamiest time together. What you see in films, I felt like that was what I was living. It got to the point where we had to say goodbye. I went off to the next island and he had to go off to work in windsurfing instructing or something like that. I think it was a day later or 2 days later, I was just walking down to the restaurant, and who would rock up but him? And he was like, I just had to spend a few more days with you. So I put off my work and I was like, I'm dying of happiness. I was in such a bubble.
How did it end then?
So the actual goodbye was after that island. He had to go off to work and then I had to go off travelling. So we said goodbye. It was sad, but I wasn't heartbroken because I was like, it's just a backpacker romance. But we spoke every single day for about 6 months. And not flirty or anything, but just we got along so well, which was so nice. Then he got a girlfriend and I was like, oh, okay.
But that seems really healthy, because it's this self-contained backpacker romance. You kind of know where you stand with each other and then you part ways, because you can have situations where you have these holiday romances, and I've definitely been in these, and you part ways, but one of you wants to make it a thing.
Oh yeah.
I'm always the one that is completely fallen in infatuation.
Oh, no.
And I'm just I just want to be with them. I don't care. I can do distance. It's fine. Every single time, without fail, none of these times it's worked out. So just FYI to anyone who's just oh, I had this holiday romance with somebody and I'm oh, can we make it work? I don't know.
Absolutely no. It's not going to happen. It's not going to end well.
Because literally I would spend months pining over these people, heartbroken, and still kind of talking to them, but then just not fully getting what
you're not
I
getting over it.
Want.
You haven't got closure on any kind of situation, and they're not there, so you can't even talk to them and talk through your things, and they don't have the same thing on their mind anyway.
One of them was also a tour guide, so then he was just traveling.
Of course you hooked up with a tour guide. The people who are looking after everything, and they seem so appealing because they're looking after everyone and they're all tanned and oh yeah, they're the worst.
Just like a man in power. But yeah, I feel when you're maybe going into these holiday romance situations, you just have to manage your expectations. That is
it's difficult to do.
Number one.
Yeah.
You have a time that you have to say goodbye. There is an end date. So you can restrain yourself and stop yourself from getting carried away.
It's really hard though, but
it is really hard. But I've had other ones where it's just that's the end date, cool.
Yeah.
This has been great, and it exists in its own happy little bubble, and those are the times where it's perfect.
Yeah.
But then other times where I have clung on for far too long and wasted months of my life pining over someone extremely unavailable. Not fun.
Not fun at all. Your heart's just in it as well, and you can't concentrate on anything else.
I can't remember what the name of this thing is, but it's basically an attachment that you form with someone if you have spectacular experiences with them. So it's the idea that if you experience like new and exciting things, if you've got all of these crazy memories, all of those happy hormones that you're getting from experiencing these amazing things that you're doing whilst traveling get transferred onto the person that you're doing those things with. And so you associate them with your happiness.
Right.
And it makes you like them more than you would if you'd met them in your mundane day-to-day life.
They're just the happy holiday romance.
One of the people that I had this like insane attachment to, the kinds of things that we were doing on that holiday I'd never done before were insane. Everything was mind-blowing. And so all of those emotions that I was getting from that trip, I was also associating with him and became far more attached to him than if we'd gone on a few dates and hung out a bit in London.
Yeah, if you met him at home, you probably wouldn't even fancy him.
Well, then we actually ended up meeting up like 7 months later. It was great. Like we hooked up again, but like being in like more of a normal like day-to-day normal life, I was just like, oh, this is fine, we can hook up now and then I can get some closure.
Yeah.
So those are experiences about like romances and traveling and stuff. What if you are in a relationship and you're going traveling, or you're in a relationship and your partner goes traveling?
Don't do it. Don't even go there.
Don't let them leave. You may not leave.
I know that sounds so bad, and I've never actually been in this situation myself, but this is genuinely from experience. Every single person who I've met traveling, you first meet them and they're like, oh, I'm in a relationship, and you're like, okay.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. Like, I'm traveling so long and I'm in a relationship. I'm like, okay. They seem to stick to it, and then they'll be like Skyping their partner and stuff, which is all lovely, like good to try, but legit, it takes them about a week. They're hooking up with every other girl.
I think it's the same thing with the first bit. Manage your expectations, because hooking up is quite an inevitable part of travelling if that's what
even
you're
if you
into.
don't think it's going to. In fact, I feel like it's even more likely to happen when you don't expect
when it catches you off guard.
Yeah, because like you're just hanging with
you're
people,
like, who's that?
And then you're just like, oh, they're quite nice. They're all tanned.
That's really creepy.
Oh, look at them.
When I was 19, I did like the interrailing thing with one of my best friends, and I was in a relationship at the time. I was only away for 3 weeks, but it was like the first time that I was like, you know, traveling by myself kind of thing. But also what was interesting is that when I was 18, didn't have a smartphone. It is so different now with technology and stuff.
You get in a new location, you have all these new people come up on your Tinder.
Yeah, there was no dating apps, and I didn't have like a phone contract. I just did pay as you go, and it was like really expensive to call and send texts. I would maybe send him like one text a day, and then I would use the computers in the hostel to send him an email. I don't know what it would be like now. You can like FaceTime them.
So you're saying that now it's possibly a good thing because you can keep in touch with your partner more?
I think it's easier to keep in touch, but then I think the opportunities to meet new people
are also higher. So everything's just more intense, basically.
Yeah, everything is just intensified. I do think, in general, if you're going travelling, be single.
Or bring your partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Couples travelling. I've met a couple of couples where that...
I've met a couple of couples
where that did not work.
Oh, really?
But for the most part, couples who I've met who are backpacking, been absolutely fine. They seem to be having a great time. Everyone else has a great time. As long as they're not all lovey-dovey together and like especially if you're in a dorm room, like, for God's sake. When there's a super duper lovey couple, they get 2 bunk beds, but they only sleep on one, and they do their thing in one, and everyone else is just in the room like, oh, you need to stop. Oh, that's not good. Don't do that.
I bet they think, oh, we're being so discreet.
Oh, please.
So basically, our general advice is like, if you have a holiday romance, end it. If you're going solo travelling, be single.
Be single. Don't be in a relationship.
Sometimes it can work, but remember, if it does, you are the exception. I think the whole thing in terms of navigating travelling and relationships and romances and flings and all of that, manage your expectations.
Absolutely.
Very much just like go in thinking this is not serious.
Yeah.
If you go in thinking it's not serious, less heartbreak, less complications.
But you know, you could end up with a fiance like my sister did. She met her boyfriend on Kentucky. Now they're engaged.
There you go. See, it does happen, just not for us.
Yeah. No.
No, not for us. In general though, if you do meet someone like traveling and you want to stay with them, my general advice with long distance relationships is like always to have like a moment that you can see in the future at some point where you're going to be living in the same place.
And something to look forward to, and you know it's going to happen, and you've got that security, like, yes, we're going to be together at that point.
Yeah, I think otherwise it's just like, will this ever work? Who knows? I don't know. Which is a bit sad. Sad times.
Yeah, no, we don't want anyone to get heartbroken.
But on that note, holiday flings are great and they've been loads of fun and meeting new people.
Yes.
Use condoms.
Absolutely.
And if you want to hear more about how to maintain your sexual health whilst travelling, we did a video on Christy's channel where we talked about all of that good stuff.
Yes,
condoms, the best kind of contraception,
not getting pregnant,
how
not
to go
getting
get
STIs.
checked up whilst you're travelling, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for watching. Please give the video a little thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'd love to hear your like holiday romance fling stories in the comments.
Has it ever worked for you?
Yes, are you the exception? If you are willing to share.
Yeah.
Make sure you go and subscribe to Christy as well whilst you're over watching the video. She makes great travel content, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.